and welcome. I'm Mich Bondesio, and this is Creating Cadence, a podcast for life and work in motion. If this is your first time listening, the purpose of this podcast is to explore our states of life and work in the present times. Along the way, we're discovering, contemplating, and taking action on the little foundational things that can help us to become better at creating momentum, working with purpose, and living with more intention. I explain more about why cadence is important in the first and second episodes of this podcast, so check those out if you haven't already. They're short. Also, a reminder that I'm recording this at home, so there may be occasional, unavoidable background noises. Today's episode is about 4 more C's: courage, curiosity, character, and consonance. All are important for creating cadence, especially in a time of COVID. Navigating the next stages of the convoluted clusterfrack of our current situation requires us to continue adapting and innovating in the way that we live and work, so that we can create a different, but still supportive, form of normality, or normalcy, depending on where in the world you live. We all have a role to play in making the small changes that can have a big effect in this transition. But learning to live and work differently requires us to be both curious and courageous. We also need to develop and use our strength of character as a guide to help us engage, communicate, and behave with consonance whilst we make these changes. So let's start by looking at curiosity and courage. I've always been a curious person, so it's in my nature to question things. Being curious is a gateway to learning. It can open doors to skills, knowledge, creativity, and improved decision-making. It can improve our empathy and create stronger connections with people who are different from us. Curiosity can also be disruptive. We are in volatile times where we must question things. We have no choice but to disrupt because we have been disrupted. From leadership decisions made by our governments and bosses, to systemic discrimination that we've never thought to question before, to what and how we're consuming and the impact that's having on the planet. Our lives depend on being more curious about everything. Our lives depend on calling things out, on understanding why things are or have been, and whether that's the best way for them to be going forward. We've all experienced a lot this year, and it's giving us the chance to reflect on our lives. We're learning and we're starting new dialogues, and these are happening around the world. People are exercising their curiosity and showing courage in making change. And in doing so, we're building our character. We can no longer accept unhealthy status quos that don't align with supporting all people and all of the planet. But it doesn't stop there. We need to take responsibility for helping to make the change we need. When we take personal responsibility for things, we have to draw on our strength of character and consonance to do so. So next up, I'm going to explore the idea of character. The American writer Joan Didion had this to say about character. People with self-respect exhibit a certain toughness, a kind of moral nerve. They display what was once called character, the willingness to accept responsibility for one's own life. To understand what character means, give some thought to what kind of person you are. What is it like you to be and do? How is it like you to behave? What are your values and beliefs? What's important to you? What are the things that you will or won't do in an everyday situation or in an emergency or crisis situation? When you understand what motivates you to do the things you do, you get to grips with knowing and building your own strength of character. This isn't always a fun experience. It's often tough situations that bring out and help to build our character. But how can we find the positive side when the going gets rough? In order to develop our moral fibre, we have to make peace with experiencing the scary and uncomfortable bits. Because without them, sometimes we can't make change. So it's really about being courageous, curious, and accepting. Can you accept where you currently find yourself, even if you're not okay in that moment? Can you develop your grit and determination to keep moving forward on your path, even when you're not in a place of joy at this moment in time? In my experience, being able to do so will help get you to the places where you can be more joyful in your life, work, and relationships. We all have things we've been wistfully dreaming of achieving in our one day, someday futures. Like many, you may be questioning your future path and whether it's going in the direction you really want to go. With the only constant right now being uncertainty, some of us are having stark realizations that these dreams and goals must now become priorities, because if we don't make them happen now, we may never get the chance. But the journey we need to take to make them happen might need to change. Back in 2019, Saori Dubourg, an executive board member for BASF, shared a piece on LinkedIn about how making progress needs courage. This quote from the article stuck with me in particular, and I think it's relevant to this conversation. Saori wrote, "If we want to actively shape the future, it would be wise not to believe in one possible reality. Instead, we should have the courage to think in many scenarios." This applies to both our work goals and our life dreams. We may just have to achieve them in a slightly different way than originally planned. But the point is, we can still achieve them if we're willing to think in multiple reality scenarios. Which brings me to consonance. In the work I do helping business people transform their approach to work, one of the key things I'm led by is the concept of consonance. Consonance occurs when your decisions and actions are compatible with not only who you are, but also with who you want to be. It's when your internal motivations align with your external actions. It's a key factor in creating cadence, and also sits right at the heart of developing a successful, purpose-driven business. So let's explore what consonance means. Laura Gassner Otting, who is an executive coach and best-selling author, describes consonance as follows. It's not just purpose written large and lofty. It's your purpose, freely and clearly defined by you, and put into action through awareness of and alignment with your life's plan. In an HBR article, which I'll share the link to, Laura highlights 4 important elements that help create this congruence for us. They are our calling, connection, contribution, and degree of control. The need for consonance is not something new, but with the craziness of our current times, we're certainly looking for a little more meaning, agency, connection, and well-being in our life and work. A few years ago, I was forced to make some big decisions about changing what I do and how I do it. This was after getting very ill because of a huge incongruence between my needs, my relationships, and my career. As a result of my experience, I'm now learning to work in ways that are more fully in tune with my values and beliefs and what I want out of life. Achieving this consonance is a daily process involving small steps, and it helps me give more to my life and to those I want to help within my life. This may sound controversial, but in a work situation, it's people who sit at the heart of business, not product, not profit. Creating harmony with and for those people is really important for consonance. And as this year has shown in massive flashing headlines, life really is too short to put up with outdated, constricting, disconnected, distracting, hurtful, unhealthy, unfulfilling, and unsupportive cultures. Or connecting with people in a personal or work situation who don't appreciate the value you bring or who have no regard for your values. Consonance is important for progress. It requires you to stick your flag in the sand and say, "This is what is good and right for me," And this is what will help me bring my best to what I do, so that I can help you be your best in the best possible way. It's also choosing to live and work with people who get what you do and how and why you do it, and supporting those people to also live true to their values too. It takes courage to do these things. If you can do them, scary as they may seem, you'll go a long way to developing your character and consonance, and therefore creating better cadence in your life. Consonance requires focus though, and the challenge here is that our focus has become so very fractured. Apart from the upheaval of our year, our digital landscape and the tools we use within it are contributing to that fragmentation. In a business setting, this plays out as problems with productivity and performance. People may need to take time away from work due to sickness, stress, or overwhelm. Or people may be leaving because they can't take an unhealthy culture anymore. If you're a business owner with a team, think about what challenges they may be experiencing when it comes to focus and performance at this time. How can you build more cohesion for yourself and your team? How can you align how you work with how you live? To achieve consonance in the workplace, we need to bring our whole selves to work. As the science and studies prove, better selves are better for business, and that's especially relevant in our current context. That's also why I help digital and creative individuals and teams to develop more mindful approaches to how they live and work. Thanks for listening. If you're keen to listen in regularly, please do subscribe to Creating Cadence via my website, growthsessions.co. As a thank you, I'll send you a free training resource via email to help you build stronger foundations. Subscribing also gives you access to my monthly online guide. With the summer coming to an end, I'll be opening up my online coaching again from September. So if that's something of interest, check out growthsessions.co and get in touch. I'll share the web link in the show notes. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Remember to show up with love and keep moving forwards. Bye for now.